Okay, so we all have recently come off of watching the brand new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's for me, it's been a while since I've gone into the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles universe, so it was a good, revisitation, and I love those
Yes.
turtles. Yeah, how did
hmm
you guys feel about the movie?
I
Um,
I feel the same way. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem, for me was a standout um amongst a great year for animated films, right? Because we'll get into this later, but we had Spider-Verse, we
Hmm.
had the
Hmm.
Mario movie, and did Puss in Boots come out this year too?
I think that was
yeah,
last year.
yeah. No, it came out. Oh, yeah, it came out
Um,
last year. It
It
came
was
out last
last
year.
year.
It
Yeah.
was last year.
yeah, I mean this is hot off the heels of like, all these films. So it's like, we've been spoiled. So I guess the expectation is a lot higher for animated movies than it was a couple years ago. And for
Hmm.
it to like kind of stand up to those films and have its own unique offering, for me just kind of is a testament to how good it was. Like I loved it. How are you feeling, Shuku?
Yeah, I really love this movie. Definitely a big Ninja Turtles fan. I mean, I've seen every show. I may have not watched all of them fully, but I've seen every show, got to
Yeah,
adapt to it. So that's why even when April was black, I was like, well, did you see the recent show? Because she was
yeah,
black there. So it's like, so it
exactly.
was like, and
Yeah.
even to be fair, I heard in the original comics, she was based off a black person. So it wasn't
Oh,
too different
interesting.
Oh
for her to be black.
wow,
So, but
that's sick. And
yeah.
if we're counting the voice actors, now canonically, you could say like two of the turtles are black,
So
which is
that's
great. A huge
good
win for
represent.
black nerds,
Exactly.
especially because of all the crazy Easter eggs and references in the film. That
Yeah.
was something for me that gave it like real authenticity, was like putting so many like fun little references in there that like made you feel like dang, like I could really chill with these turtles. Like I feel like they'd be part of our friend group, right? They're
Yeah,
just like
exactly.
they're just like
Yeah.
young,
Yeah.
nerdy kids, and they're so likable. Like that was like my main thing. I was like, the turtles have to be likable. Like I need to love them, or else it's like that's the number one thing. And
Hmm.
they
Hmm.
nailed that, right? The film, maybe weaker in other areas story wise, but like the way the turtles were and the way they were written and all the cute banter that they had was perfect to me. Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
loved it.
The only gripes I had were more personal. That was mainly it was more like directions that they took that I kind of may have not
Mhm.
agree with, but it wasn't like it didn't ruin the experience. Overall, I enjoyed the experience, and I even
Yeah.
watched it twice. So for me to watch it second time, I also noticed a more like the
Yeah.
music, for example, is something that was top notch.
Yeah. Yeah. The music was
Yeah.
fantastic.
I
The
mean,
musical
come on
choices.
now. It's Trent Reznor and Atticus Finch, and for that the
Mm.
actual score, and then the
Oh, okay.
soundtrack was also really fun and great, like with all the songs that they chose.
Yeah.
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 Although some
Yeah.
of the music did sound like something from Into the Spideyverse. I was like, is this Kylie Spideyverse copy right here? Like this sounds like
I
Miguel's
think
theme.
I feel like or you're talking about the score itself sounded like
Yeah, the
Spider-Verse?
score.
Okay, for
Yeah.
sure, for sure. Yeah,
Well, that's Trent Reznor's style, low key. Trent Reznor and Atticus, was it Atticus Ross? What's his name? They've always had like a sci-fi sound, right? Look at like The Social Network and look at Watchmen. So it's like they're kind
mm,
of like honing in their like sci-fi sound to like kind of fit into like a comic book type movie.
mm,
So I thought it was appropriate. And if it sounds similar to Spider-Verse, well, that's just a testament to how good Spider-Verse is, not the other way around.
fair,
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think yeah, going back to some of the musical choices, it definitely felt very New York, and it really captured the essence of it on a musical level. And it was just like it was so awesome, like just listening to all the songs that they're doing.
Yeah.
And it was interesting too that they had um they had Ice Cube voicing the villain.
Yeah.
Superfly.
And
Yeah.
I don't know if there was some like subliminal East Coast versus West Coast type thing going on
Oh,
by
I
having him as the
see.
villain.
I see.
Yeah, so that was a funny
Yeah.
thing that
And
I
him
noticed.
legitimately destroying New York.
Yeah, exactly.
But it
Exactly.
was that movie was like unapologetically New York. Like the whole bit of them like bacon, egg, and cheese. I was like,
Yeah,
oh my god,
I
like
laughed so hard during that
Yeah,
they're
you
entire
did.
back
they're
and
just
forth.
so cute. Like it's the best thing ever. All the voice performances were so good. Like it felt very like natural the way they would like even like kind of trail off and talk over each other. It kind of reminded me of like the performances in like Bob's Burgers kind of, which is like
Mhm,
you know
mhm.
the way they speak and talk over each other is like pretty funny. I think that's like a really fun direction to go with the dialogue. Um but yeah, for me the film, I loved it. I want to watch it again. Like if you guys are down to watch it again, let me know. I want to watch it again. But
Okay.
for me this was like this gave me like the nostalgia of the Super Mario film with like the beauty and like the experimental art style of Spider-Verse.
Oh
Um
yeah.
and like it's I feel like it's like a mix of the two cuz like you know, we weren't watching Super Mario for the story, right? Like
Right, right.
where Spider-Verse is like the perfect package, Mario was like it pretty much banked on nostalgia, right? I feel
Mhm.
like TMNT was like a mix of those two concepts, right? I
Hmm.
think there was some parts in the
Yeah.
story that I think could have been better,
Yeah, I
but
agree.
it's fine. I think this first film is a springboard for the TMNT universe, right? Like it didn't
Hmm.
even have
Yes. Yeah.
like I like even though like I loved like the not the most recent Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon because I haven't watched it, but I think maybe it was like the 2003 or 2008 version, like that I used to watch a lot.
Hmm.
But like I didn't know who Superfly was, so I was like, okay, whatever. I'm watching for the turtles. But like you know, spoiler alert, like at the end, like in the after credit, they tease like,
Shredder.
you know, Shredder.
Shredder, yeah,
So
Shredder.
I'm like, okay, like you know, you've got built-in fans, so I'm hoping for a
Yes.
sequel. And like if this is just the beginning, then I know the sequel could be better than the first one, and that's exciting, you know.
yeah.
And
Th-
I'm hoping it is because like I said, I think just some part like near the end kind of like the pacing gets kind of weird and like you know they're wrapping up like this bigger lesson with like oh like you know Master Splinter needs to like understand his sons and like the sons are also like wanting acceptance. There's like kind of like a lot going on, but
yeah.
it's like you know it's not a huge complaint. It's just something I noticed where in the beginning they really take their time kind of like introducing us to like that world, you know,
Hmm.
Hmm.
where at the end they kind of you can see it was like a rush to like wrap things up is what I noticed. But I mean it's fine. Like it's still like a super super duper fun movie, and I still want to watch it again.
Yeah. On that note, they are gonna make a TV series. They announced there's gonna be a TV series based off this style, animation,
Oh
everything. So yeah. So we'll
yeah,
see where that continues.
the
But yeah.
animation is so experimental. It's like the designs are like not even like really like how do I call like it's so like rough some parts, you know, like
Yeah.
it's in a stylized way. It almost reminds me of like a bus squat like painting or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
and then maybe that's like also kind of like a nod to New York, which I think is very
Probably.
cute.
That's
Probably.
cool.
I think one of the interesting things that I noticed while watching the movie was it felt like this is an evolution of the medium of animation where you know we had that whole transition from 2D to 3D where it was like for a long time everything was just 3D animated and we
Yeah.
kind of like got rid of after what was that Disney movie after The Princess and the Frog. After that, we got rid of like all the 2D animation stuff and it was just like 3D for a long time. And then now it feels like we're kind of revisiting 2D animation, but with a 3D flair and having the opportunity to use both of them at the same time and like see how it works and matches together.
Hey,
We
Code
saw
Lyoko
that.
did it first.
Yeah, well, yeah, that went back and forth. But yeah, this one like literally
Yeah.
figuring out
Melds.
how to combine both of these two things together. I think it's the best of both worlds, honestly, because as much as like 3D animation, I guess you can argue that it looks better than 2D. I don't know. So much of the 2D animated films are just so like beautiful to look at for me. And so it was kind of a bummer to like be in an era where it felt like that was like gone, but now we're kind of revisiting it and it's probably going to be something that future animation will continue to build upon. And so I'm like really excited to see what happens in the future with with this medium of animation.
Yeah, there's
too.
moments where it felt like it was clay animation, so I was like, "What the hell?" And it was cool, and it felt like the Nickelodeon clay sign. So
no, it was great. I agree. I like this direction of moving away from like hyper realism, to like more cartoony, exaggerated movements, lower frame rates, you know, and like kind of you can like comic booky line art and stuff like that. I think it's like fun to like put your own like unique stamp on things, right? Like everyone wants to stand out because all of the animated movies are like really, really great now. I also love like when they superimpose things like, oh, like they were watching like Ferris Bueller's Day Off on screen, or like when Master Splinter's like, oh, like welcome to the party, and he has like the standees of all the Chris's, and it's like Chris Pine and like Chris Hemsworth, and I'm like, what is this?
Yeah,
like, it's so bizarre.
The amount of pop culture references is just crazy to me in this movie. I mean, we go from talking about like one minute they're talking about Endgame, and the next minute they're talking about Attack on Titan. They actually use the Attack on Titan to defeat the villain.
The banter. They're talking about Mark Ruffalo's like, you know, his ability to perform, like, you know, he's like, oh, he improvised that. I'm like, what? I love that. And you know what? It's pretty refreshing not seeing another like multiverse movie. Like, it's just about family. It's so sweet. I love that at the heart of it, it's like about the boys and Master Splinter. Like it's very, I don't know, they went back to the roots, and I love that for them.
That was great.
Yeah, so I guess one thing we can definitely talk about is sort of the changes, because like this movie, as much as it does pay homage to a lot of the older Ninja Turtle stuff, there are also a lot more changes like they've done. Like I know for starters, like originally Leo has never been into April, but in this one they kind of make him interested in her, which is interesting because usually if any turtle's into her, it's usually Donatello. So it's usually the Donatello who's into
I thought
April.
It was usually Michelangelo.
No, it was always Donnie.
Oh, in the Michael Bay horrible ones, it was Michelangelo, remember?
Oh, okay. Well, in like two of the series, like the 2003 one and the 2012 one, it was always like they literally play off the whole Donnie being into April kind of dynamic. So,
well, so it's never been Raphael though.
It's never been Raphael, I guess. Rap doesn't like April, man. What they say.
He's busy focusing on his angst.
He's too tough for Raphael. Although the 2018 version, Raphael's the leader, so that's the interesting thing about that one.
Oh, interesting.
Ooh.
But
I don't know about if I like.
I don't know if I like that.
But point is, so that's one change. Another one is like Splinter, because Splinter in this one is a lot more. I mean, he still has that, you know, he can be strict and stern and serious, but he's a lot more like kind of like the goofy father kind of it being toned down. And he's less like strict and like ninjistic, like you got to go in your training kind of thing. He's like a protected father. So we have that.
That's cute though. I think that's a good choice, because it's like a lot of our generation and even like Gen Z, their experience growing up with like, you know, being first gen born here, and like you could say that Master Splinter is like almost like the way his parenting style is almost like an immigrant parent, right? Like very strict.
So true.
And I think a lot of teens that are into nerdy stuff like can see themselves on screen when they're like oh, my parent is too strict and doesn't understand my need to fit in, you know, like you know, that was like cool to me, instead of just like F you dad, like all like the old like early 2000s or like 80s 90s media, you know.
Yeah. Two changes that I have kind of mixed feelings about was one is how, and you know, I understand like both of them, to be fair, it's like the message of the movie, but one is like the way the villains kind of turn good or on their side at the end. Not that I have anything against that, but I kind of like especially what's called Rebop and Bebop
and Rocksteady.
I kind of like them having more of an artistic thing, and then for them to just be like, hey, you know what? I want to be on your side too.
I know, I like them as antagonists too. So it is a weird direction that they went that way. Yeah,
they kind of went that way, and the meta commentary is just like a lot of these lackeys don't have a brain, so when you give them the option to actually act on something, they could be like, well, why am I mad, you know? So I get the meta commentary. But the other one is this idea that the whole world kind of accepts them, because the whole point of Ninja Turtles is that they're supposed to be under the shadows, like you're not supposed to notice them. So now that they kind of live in this world where everyone knows who they are, it kind of ruins that aesthetic a little bit. So
Mhm.
I'm a little bit, I mean, I love the message of it. It's just like, I'm just curious. I don't know. I mean, we know Shredder's going to come, so there's still going to be conflict, but I don't know. I kind of would have wished they went a more route where maybe some people will accept you, some people won't, versus just the whole world just accepts you. And it's like, I don't know. It's not
I
a
think
big
that's
fan.
something they could easily bring back, though. I mean, they could even bring up the argument that, it was mutants that even, that caused the whole thing to begin with, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think they
Yeah,
closed
like
the
a
door
Lex
on that.
Luthor type figure that comes up and is like,
Yeah.
these mutants.
They
Yeah,
could.
I don't think they closed the door on it. I think they could re-include that,
They could
It just
re-include it.
depends. It depends on the story.
They can re-include it, but I guess it's just the fact. I don't know. It becomes that weird dynamic where it's like, oh, they were all loving them at one moment, and now they're just all hating
Mhm.
them. And it's just I kind of wish they never even put it out there in the first place. I kind of wish it was just like few people accept them. They got
Yeah.
acceptance a few people, and then they moved on. But
And that's a valid gripe. I could see that. But we also, so the organization that like kidnapped them, we don't know the extent of their power either. So it's like, who knows? Like maybe back to like OC's suggestion, like maybe they could somehow find a way to like control the narrative in the media,
yeah, exactly. I
it
mean,
happens all the time in real life. So
it's fair. I mean, if April O'Neil's able to convince all these people that the turtles are on their side and everyone just follows, all it takes is one person to be like, oh, those are mutants. Remember, those are disgusting.
yeah, they're the ones that cause the whole thing.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah. My friend, when I watched it the first time, he was really disgusted with Splinter being with that monster lady. He was like, this is not PG. This is too disgusting.
Yeah, there was a lot of like interesting like gags and stuff. I think for the most part, everything was like really funny to me though. I think I just love it so much. Like the way that the dialogue was written was so cute. I think one thing, this isn't necessarily a gripe, but like, Michelangelo's thing is that he's like the funny one, that he's the silly one, but they're just all so funny and silly.
They are.
I think that part of his personality was like lost a little bit because like they're all like that. I think they like try to like reinforce it at the end by like making him join an improv club, but it's still not like they all shine too much. It's like a kind of a good problem to have. Like they're all so like funny and great that like Michelangelo to me is like not the funny one, Yeah. So we'll see if like maybe somehow they can like do something to like make him like more out there than the rest of his brothers. I think that would like I would appreciate that to be like, because like that's his thing. Michelangelo is like he's that guy. He's the dude that like has no filter and like he just be saying like silly stuff.
Yeah,
I know. Like, who was the turtle who said that his head looks like Stewie mixed with Hey Arnold? Was it a turtle or somebody?
It was a turtle. I think it was it Donnie? It might have been Donnie.
Donnie almost had like the best lines, the lines that I thought Michelangelo should have had.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
He said that about Michelangelo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
He said you look like Hey Arnold mixed with Stu Griffin. I was like, oh, that's such a Michelangelo line. It's so great. Like,
and all those references, like it feels, I don't know. It feels so validating to like be at an age where it's like we know that it's people who are from our generation that's making this stuff, and it's like it feels so cool. Like going from Attack on Titan to Hey Arnold, it's like yo.
And then like saying things like Riz, like oh my god,
god, that was.
And it's gonna be so dated, but it's in a great way. Like you can revisit this film, and it's gonna be such a great snapshot in time.
Right.
And I love that because I think TMNT should always be like that. I think there should always be some kind of cultural thing that like makes you like think back on nostalgia, right?
Yeah, for sure. So I think we mentioned something about other animated films. How would you kind of compare this in a sense to other animated films that came out
recently?
Well, let's list them out. So the top ones that came out this year that people went out to watch were, of course, Spider-Verse 2, Super Mario film, and Elemental, I guess.
I mean, Elemental kind of made a comeback because at first it wasn't doing well, but now it's kind of made a comeback back on the office.
We have to disclaimer say that like OC and I did not watch that movie.
Yeah, I didn't watch Elemental.
For me, that's
and like then the Teenage Kraken movie also came out recently.
Yeah, and didn't do so well either.
But that one like actually
I also
bombed.
didn't see that.
Elemental actually like Chuku said, at least bounced back in the box office.
Yeah.
I don't know because I didn't watch it, so that's like kind of an NA for me. Like I can't really speak on that. But
Yeah.
so then if we're talking about the other three that I mentioned, for me it's like Spider-Verse, TMNT, then Mario. That's like my ranking.
I definitely agree. I know it's tough because it's like both of them do good, and like if we're gonna compare, Spider-Verse is obviously outstanding in all areas, but like if we take Mario and TMNT, both of them do good within their retro perspectives. So it really depends. But I definitely would lean more to, as a film bias, I would definitely lean more to TMNT more than than the Mario, just because Mario is more of just a homage towards the fans and what video game people would want to see. And Elementals, and I guess this is just my bias, I think it was one of the most weakest Pixar movies. I felt like it had a lot of good ideas, but the way it was phrased, I didn't buy into the romance. I felt like a lot of the problems were the conflict was kind of resolved, and it kind of felt like at the later they had to add another conflict. So it was one of the more weaker films, but I am glad because apparently Elementals, and this is a side tangent, but I'll move on to TMT later. Apparently Elementals, a lot of everybody there was kind of like new staff, like new actors. Like a lot of these actors aren't famous actors and whatnot. So for it to at least done a little bit better, for them being kind of this new team, new people, Disney giving it a chance, I am proud that at least it's got better results than it was when I was watching it. But generally speaking, it was one of the least favorite Pixar movies I've seen in a long time. So that's my opinion on that, and I definitely think it's lower than I would recommend people to watch this movie TMT than Elementals for sure.
Yeah, I think I would agree with the ranking of having Spider-Verse up top, followed by TMNT, and then Mario. I didn't see Elementals, mostly because I was not interested in seeing Elementals. But yeah, I would say that the only thing that might, knock it down is the fact that it didn't have Jack Black singing
Peaches.
That's the only thing. If only, Jack, if it had a special musical, but we talked about the musical choices in this film already, and they were really good. So this film definitely showed out, and
it didn't have Jack Black
it.
singing Peaches, but it had the Turtles trying to sing BTS.
That's true.
And we need to give them credit for trying.
Exactly.
I can do that.
But yeah,
especially they were getting milked.
Oh yes, they got milked, man.
Personally, the jokes like hit so much more for me in TMNT because it was just like it was made for our generation.
Yeah.
Versus like Mario was like a broader, like slapsticky type comedy, which is fine.
Yeah.
But it's like TMNT was like edging into the absurd, which I love. I love this, like a lot of like films are leaning into absurdity, and I just like love that. Like there shouldn't be rules in art, right? And I just think that, like, some of the outrageous stuff they were saying, like I just love seeing it.
Exactly.
Agreed. Awesome. Any other last minute points?
No, I just want to watch it again.
Yeah,
I want to see it in 3D
for research.
Yeah,
research.
I think the voice actors did a great job. It was April O'Neil was Ayo Edebiri.
Yes, oh my god, I love her.
She's awesome.
When they first get introduced, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, what are you? What could you be?" I was like, "Oh my god, like that's like kind of like a realistic."
What she would
reaction.
say, yeah.
I was surprised that Paul Rudd was that surfer
the chameleon.
Dude. Yeah, I was like, that's
Mondo?
Paul
The
Rudd.
gecko. Maybe the gecko.
Yeah, that was weird.
It was a great cast. No, there was like a bunch of people. I mean, there was like Post Malone was like the singing guy.
Oh yeah.
That's why he was singing.
Interesting.
And then it was John Cena and who's
Seth
the guy
Rogen.
that Seth Rogen.
Well,
with
Seth Rogen's
Bebop and Rocksteady.
Yeah.
He's also the one who's producing this whole thing. So
yeah, exactly. But that was good casting all around. Good casting all around. The Turtles especially, like hats off to those young actors. Like so good.
And then Jackie Chan being Splinter is
Being
a
Jackie
good thing.
Chan.
Yeah, basically that's why his fight, he's like, oh, He's acting like
Oh,
a
It was a
Oh,
it was a
oh my
Jackie
gosh.
Chan fight.
We didn't talk about the action. The action
we
was
have to-
pretty good.
Yeah,
The action was
It
really
was like
good.
really fun to see. Like it
It
was never like
was.
another fight. It was like all unique. Like, I mean, they are like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like it was Hong Kong style. Like
Uh-huh.
for
uh-huh.
him, Master Splinter, like Hong Kong style action, right?
Yes.
Hong Kong cinema and stunts, and it was just
But
like
yeah, even just
so
like
great to
the
see.
classic use of like everything around him is a tool now for his
Yes.
fight. It was like,
That's
wow.
such classic Hong Kong cinema stunt work. Like I
Yes.
love that.
Yes, yeah.
So good.
It was great. It was
I got to
great.
see it again immediately.
Yeah, they all did a great job. They all did a great job. Yeah. But yeah, definitely. If you have already seen this movie, definitely let us know your thoughts on it down in the comments below, and we will catch you guys later. Peace.
Peace.